Not bad, just sterile, like something is always being cleaned, or something just ended. I didn't expect to be there that day. But then again, I didn't expect my husband to collapse at work either. They said he fainted in the office parking lot, that an ambulance had rushed him here. I dropped everything, left a cart full of groceries in the store, didn't even lock the car properly. My heart pounded the entire drive, not just fear, but guilt. We had argued that morning about something small. I can't even remember what now. Isn't that always how it goes? One second you're angry and the next, you're begging the universe to just keep them alive. His name is Daniel, my husband of 21 years. We met in college. He made me laugh when I didn't want to. Said all the right things at all the right times. I thought I found safety in him, security, family. We built a life, a small but warm one. 3 kids, a mortgage, plans for retirement someday. Nothing fancy but ours. I gave them my name. They gave me his room number. Room 417, he's stable. Family's already with him. I paused. I'm his wife, I said, confused. I didn't think anyone else had arrived yet. The nurse glanced up, eyebrows knitting. I just saw them go in a few minutes ago. Them, plural. I nodded slowly, trying to stay calm. Told myself it must be his brother. Or maybe someone from work, someone harmless. I opened the door, and I stopped breathing. There were 3 people inside, 2 women, 1 teenager, all kneeling beside the bed, all holding Daniel's hand, all praying. One of the women, the older one, Altsatuds, looked up at me with panic. The younger one didn't even turn around. She was too busy crying, whispering, "Please don't die, Dad." Dad. That word slapped me across the face. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My voice just left me. The older woman stood quickly, smoothing her blouse. She stepped toward me, blocking my view of Daniel's unconscious body. "You must be Eliza," she said like she'd rehearsed it. I nodded, still in shock. She took a breath and said words I'll never forget. "I'm Clara, Daniel's partner. And this is our daughter, Ava." Partner, daughter. I didn't understand. I couldn't understand. I wanted to scream, to shout, to ask how long this had been going on, why, when. Who else knew? But all I could do was stare at the girl still kneeling by the bed, calling my husband Dad. At the woman standing in front of me with guilt and resolve in her eyes. At the man in the bed who suddenly looked like a stranger. I didn't wait, didn't yell, didn't confront. I walked out, down the hall, out of the hospital. I sat in my car, hands shaking, jaw clenched. I didn't cry, not then. I couldn't. The pain hadn't landed yet. It was hovering, waiting. Like a thunderstorm you can hear but haven't yet felt. I called his sister, told her what I saw. She gasped, said she didn't know. Said she was so sorry. But her voice cracked in a way that told me she did. Maybe not everything, but something. I hung up. Our house felt different, heavier, colder. I looked at our wedding photo, the one where he held my waist and grinned at the camera like I was the only woman on earth. And I hated it. I hated that version of him, that version of us. Because now I didn't know what any of it meant. If any of it had ever been real. I told the kids he was in the hospital, that he'd be okay, that we'd visit tomorrow. They didn't ask who else was with him, didn't know the truth yet, and I didn't know how to say it. How do you tell your children that their father had another family? That while you were building a home, he was building 2? That while you raised his babies, he was watching another girl grow up, calling someone else daddy? I didn't know then, but I would. And when I finally did, everything changed. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in our bed, alone, with the blankets pulled tight around me like a shield. Every creak of the house sounded louder, every memory sharper. I kept staring at the ceiling, trying to remember when things stopped making sense. Was it last year? 5 years ago? Or had I just missed all the signs for 2 whole decades? Morning came, but the sun didn't feel warm. My daughter, Lily, came downstairs first. 13. Sharp as a blade, but soft in ways she'd never admit. She rubbed her eyes. "Did Dad text you?" she asked. "Is he okay?" I nodded, forced a smile. "He's stable. We'll go see him after school." She looked relieved, then turned back to her cereal like it was any normal Tuesday, but nothing felt normal. I thought about Ava, the girl kneeling at his bedside, clutching his hand like she'd known him her whole life. Maybe she had. Maybe I was the outsider now. Clara said Daniel had planned to tell me that it was complicated, that he didn't want to lose his real family. I nearly laughed when she said that. Real? What was real about any of this? I went back, not for him, for answers. He was awake now. The nurse told me so. He'd asked for his wife, and apparently he meant me. How generous of him. He looked weak, pale, like someone I should pity, but I didn't. He turned toward me, eyes wide. "Eliza?" His voice cracked. I didn't answer, just sat in the chair across the room, close enough to see him. Far enough to remind him that we weren't the same people anymore. "You saw them, didn't you?" I nodded once. "I was going to tell you. I didn't know how." That was always his excuse. He didn't know how. Didn't know how to apologize. Didn't know how to be honest. Didn't know how to not betray me. "How long?" He swallowed, looked away. "Ava's 16. The words hit me like a slap. 16. He had been living a double life for 16 years. Through job promotions, family vacations, birthdays, school plays, Christmas mornings. He tucked our children in bed at night, and then went to hers on weekends or in hotel rooms or God knows where. My hands trembled in my lap, not from rage, from betrayal. This wasn't just an affair, it was a second life, a second family. He looked at me like I might forgive him, like he was still Daniel and I was still his Eliza. But something had broken, cracked, and splintered, and it wasn't coming back together. "I still love you. You're my wife. You're my home," Eliza whispers. "Then why wasn't I enough?" He didn't answer, couldn't, because there was no answer that could fix what he had done. I remembered how proud he was at Michael's graduation, how he clapped the loudest, how he hugged me in the parking lot, kissed my forehead, and said, "We did it. We raised a good one." Was Clara there too? Was Ava texting him that night while we celebrated? Did he split himself in half, or did we only ever get the half he let us see? I stood up, said nothing, and walked out. I couldn't stay in that room, couldn't look at him, because if I did, I might have screamed. I called Clara. This time I asked for a meeting. No yelling, no public scene, just truth. Whatever that was now. She agreed, said she owed me that much. We met at a small cafe 2 blocks from the hospital. She looked exhausted, but not defensive. She ordered chamomile tea. I ordered nothing. I didn't want to feel warm, not while she sat across from me. I met him at a business conference. He said he was divorced. He wore no ring. He told me you were gone. I stared at her, not believing, but also not surprised. When I found out the truth, I was already pregnant. He begged me not to leave, begged her to stay, while I was raising our kids, packing lunchboxes, paying bills, holding the house together. He was building a new life, and I never saw it coming. Did he love you? Clara looked down. I think he wanted to, but he never let go of you. I almost laughed. How noble of him to cheat on me while pretending I was still his everything. We sat in silence, two women, two truths, one man who broke both of us. And then she said something I didn't expect. I'm leaving him, Eliza. This isn't the life I want, not anymore. I stared, not because I wanted him back, but because even the woman he chose was choosing to walk away. That night I went home and told the kids everything, not every detail, but enough. They cried. Michael punched the wall. Lily locked herself in her room. Ben, my youngest, just said, "So, he has another kid?" And then, "Is she like my sister?" I didn't know what to say, because I was still asking myself the same thing. The house was quieter than I'd ever known it. Even the clocks ticked slower, as if time was unsure how to move forward after what we had all learned. The children, they didn't know how to act around me. Did they blame him? Did they blame me? Or were they just confused like I was? Lily emerged the next morning, puffy eyes, clutching her phone. She didn't speak, just sat down, watched me. Finally, she said it. I saw her Instagram. My heart stopped. She posted a photo, Lily continued, of Dad in the hospital, called him her hero. That's when I realized it wasn't just betrayal, it was public, it was documented, lived out in digital albums and photo captions, and I'd been the one who knew the least. I started to imagine every birthday I didn't know about, every tooth lost, every scraped knee. Every time he said, "I'm working late," but was at her school play. I wondered how many pictures he had in his phone of her, compared to Lily or Michael. And I couldn't stop the tears. Not because I missed him, but because I realized how small we'd become in his life. I needed a voice from outside it all. Someone who loved me but didn't owe me blind loyalty. So I called Caroline, Daniel's sister. She met me at the park, brought coffee, held my hand before she spoke. I've known about Ava for years. The words hit harder than I expected. He made me swear not to tell you, said you'd fall apart, said the kids would be ruined. And you believed him? Caroline looked ashamed. Number, I just didn't want to lose you. So many people knew and chose silence. And the irony, they all thought they were protecting me, but they were really protecting him. I went back one last time, not to visit, not to forgive, just to make something clear. He was being discharged. Clara wasn't there, only Ava sitting quietly in a chair. I waited until Ava stepped outside to take a call. Then I walked in. He looked surprised, still had that hopeful glimmer in his eyes, like I'd swoop in and take him home. He didn't understand. I wasn't there to carry him. You're not coming back to our house. He blinked. The kids need time, I need distance. You're going to find somewhere else to recover. That's not my burden anymore. He tried to sit up straighter, win back control. Daniel. Eliza, please, I need you. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Eliza. No, you made choices repeatedly for 16 years. And that's when I realized something. He hadn't just betrayed me. He had disrespected me, lied to me, used me, and then expected compassion when his world collapsed. He wanted the comfort of a wife without ever being a real husband. I walked away, didn't look back, didn't cry, because this time I wasn't breaking. He was. And maybe that's what hurt him most, that I could finally walk away and not fall apart. The kids deserved truth, the whole truth. So I sat them down, told them what Clara told me, what Caroline confessed, showed them Ava's photo. Michael was furious. Lily, quiet, withdrawn. Ben, still just 9, looked confused. So, are we still a family? I reached out, held his hand. We're still us, that hasn't changed. I didn't know what to say next. Didn't know how to explain what love looks like when it's been stepped on. But I knew this. I had 3 children who still needed truth, still needed strength. And I was going to be the one to give it to them. That night, Ben hugged me tighter than usual, didn't let go for a while. And when I turned off the light, he whispered, "You're the strongest mom in the world." And for the first time in days, I almost believed him. People say healing isn't linear, they're right. One day you feel like you can breathe again. The next, the smallest thing, a smell, a song, a photo, pulls you back under. I wasn't trying to erase Daniel, just remove him from my emotional bloodstream, and that was harder than I thought. I started small, taking down photos, packing up old sweaters, changing the Wi-Fi password, little things. But they felt big. Each act was a whisper. You don't live here anymore. Michael was the first to ask about Ava. What do we do with her? He said one night. She's our sister, it's... right? The room fell silent, because that was the real twist in this story. Ava wasn't guilty, she was just a girl, born into a lie she didn't choose. I messaged Clara, told her I wasn't ready to meet again. But I didn't want the kids to hate Ava. Told her if Ava ever wanted to meet them someday, that would be their choice, not mine. She replied a few hours later. "Thank you, I'll respect whatever your family decides." I read that message 3 times, not because it was profound, but because it was respectful. Strange how the woman who lived in my husband's shadow world showed me more grace than he ever did. I filed for separation, not divorce. Not yet. I needed time, space, and if I'm honest, I needed power, legal power, control over the house, the finances, protection for the kids. Daniel's betrayal didn't just hurt emotionally, it put our lives at risk. One afternoon he was there, outside the school, standing near the fence. He didn't try to come close, just watched Michael and Lily get in the car. I drove past him, didn't slow down, didn't wave, but I saw his face, and for a brief moment, I felt pity. Then it passed, because sometimes pity is just leftover love we haven't buried yet. I don't regret loving him, but I do regret loving him alone, because now I could see it clearly. I was the only one holding up our marriage. He was off living 2 lives, while I was carrying all of ours. We started new traditions. Movie nights in the living room, marshmallows in the backyard, cooking dinners together. We weren't trying to move on, just move forward. And slowly, we did. One night he called. I let it ring 4 times before answering. His voice was hoarse, quiet. "I miss you." I said nothing. "I miss the kids." Still nothing. Then, he broke. "I don't know who I am without you," I almost replied, almost said, "You should have thought about that before you became someone else behind my back." But I didn't. I just whispered, "You'll have to figure that out on your own." And I hung up. That was the first night I slept. Really slept. No nightmares, no checking the door, no replaying what went wrong, just peace. Ben brings her a crayon drawing of their family. Life didn't go back to normal, it became something new. Lily started applying to colleges. Michael made the basketball team. Ben drew us in crayon, just the four of us. And I didn't correct him. Because this version of us, it wasn't missing anything. It was complete. I once walked into a hospital room and saw a life I never knew existed, but now I walk into our home each day and I see a life we built, truthfully, honestly, together. 3 months had passed, enough time for wounds to scab, but not quite heal. And then, one quiet Saturday, a letter came in the mail. Handwritten, no return address. I knew the handwriting. It was from Daniel. I held it for a long time, felt the weight of it, like it might collapse in my hands. I wasn't sure if I wanted more apologies or more lies, but I opened it, because closure sometimes hides in the ugliest places. Eliza, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. I'm not asking for forgiveness, only understanding. I ruined our life. I let my weakness define me. I thought I could live 2 lives, love 2 families, but I ended up belonging nowhere. I miss the smell of coffee in our kitchen. I miss the kids yelling over cereal. I miss you, angry, sad, silent. I miss you in every form. Clara's gone. Took Ava and moved in with her mother. I visit, but it's not the same. They look at me like a ghost. I lost you, and in doing that, I lost me. You didn't deserve any of this. I hope you found peace. With regret, Daniel. I didn't cry. I didn't crumble. But I did stare at the signature for a long time. Not because I missed him, but because part of me had been waiting to hear him say those things. Even if too late. I didn't keep the letter. I didn't frame it or hide it in a drawer. I burned it. Watched the edges curl. Watched the ink fade. Because some closure doesn't need to be kept. It just needs to be released. Daniel was a chapter in my life. A long one, painful, tangled, but not the final one. Not even close. I started volunteering, not because I had time, but because I had purpose. I met women who wore the same scars, who spoke in the same shaky voice I once had. And I listened. I cried with them, laughed with them, and I found something I didn't expect: pride. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was leading, teaching, healing my children. The bow. They grew, not just taller, wiser. Michael told me he wanted to be a therapist, said, I want to help families stay together, or leave when they need to. Lily got into her dream school. She wrote her college essay about resilience, about watching her mother become a woman with fire in her chest. And Ben, he just kept drawing. Families, smiles, United States. One day he showed up, not unannounced. He'd messaged first, just dropping off a box of old photo albums. We stood at the door. No yelling, no begging, just silence between 2 people who once built a life and buried it. Daniel, you look strong. Eliza, I am. He nodded, eyes wet. Tell the kids I said hi. Eliza, they know? He stood there a second longer, then walked away. And I didn't watch him go. Because this time, it wasn't my loss. I walked into that hospital room thinking I'd lost everything, but what I really lost was illusion. What I gained was truth, painful, raw, but real. And real is what I live in now, falling asleep on the couch. I don't have the perfect family, but I have honesty. I don't have the perfect marriage, but I have myself. And I don't have Daniel, but I never really had him to begin with. I walked into that hospital room and saw a man I didn't recognize. But when I walk into my home now, I see everything I ever needed, and none of it is a lie. Betrayal breaks illusions, but truth builds freedom. Thank you for watching.